What's up, friends? Fellow card collectors, Card Obvious here. You may be wondering why I have a 1991 Fleer Dan Marino sitting in front of you. Well, this is a contest entry for WaxPack Poetic's 100 subscriber contest. I'll put a link to his contest in the description below. So definitely check it out. Drop him a sub if you're not subbed. But this is my official entry to the contest, so what you have to do for the contest is show off one card that has the most value to you, not monetarily, but sentimental value. Basically what card means the most to you, and talk about it and why. So I'm going to talk about this 1991 Fleer, but first I'm going to get into a little bit of backstory first before I get into the actual card. That way you know why this card means so much to me. Back in August of 1990, I was living in South Florida in Fort Lauderdale. I lived in a duplex with my mom, my 16-year-old sister, and my 21-year-old sister and her husband, my brother-in-law. All of us lived in a 2-bedroom duplex, only had one bathroom, and all 4 of us were living there. I was basically sleeping on the couch. My oldest sister and her husband pretty much, slept on the floor. But around that time, my mom found out she got a job in Asheville, North Carolina. And this was a big promotion for her. So she accepted the job because it paid better, and, Asheville is a cheaper place to live than South Florida, which is, pretty expensive. And she took the job. My 16-year-old sister absolutely refused to go. She said she's not going to Asheville. She's not uprooting, getting away from her friends. She's staying in Florida. And, this was a point of contention for a little bit. For my mom, and oldest sister agreed, my 16-year-old sister could stay with my oldest sister down in Florida while it was just me and my mom went to Asheville. And so, that all kind of worked itself out, and I packed up all her things, and me and my mom were going to go to Asheville, North Carolina. Now, South Florida was the only place I'd ever known growing up. It was the only place I ever lived. I was born in Miami. I lived in Fort Lauderdale, lived in Sunrise, Florida, Hollywood, Florida. It was the only place I knew. I was 11 years old. I really didn't show emotion that I didn't want to leave South Florida. I kind of looked at it, oh, this is cool, I'm going to go someplace else. It's going to be in the mountains, it's going to be cool, right? So, I was cool. I was fine with it until we were getting in the car. We'd finished loading up the car, and I said bye to my oldest sister, my brother-in-law, and my 16-year-old sister. And as we drove away, and I watched them shrink off into the distance as we drove away, I finally lost it. I finally realized how much I was leaving behind. Pretty much my whole family, all my cousins, and I bawled like a baby in that car for a good while we were heading up 95, because it just felt like the end of something. And yeah, I was real emotional then. And anyways, we get up to Asheville, and while we're in Asheville, let me jump back a little bit. My father wasn't around. He left when I was 3. He was dealing with some personal demons with substance abuse, and chose to pursue his demons rather than, stick around, for me and my sister. My oldest sister has a different father, but, for me and my 16-year-old sister, he chose to leave us. I was 3 at the time. Now I'm 11, so he's been gone. I didn't even remember him. He wasn't around. He wasn't even a part of my life. But while we're in Asheville, he contacts my mom and says he wants to see me. So she asked me, hey, do you want to, go see your dad? And I was like, sure. I was kind of nervous about it because I really didn't even know him. So we drive from Asheville down to Georgia, and I meet my father. Basically, it felt like meeting him for the first time because I just didn't remember him. And I liked him. He was a cool guy. He was a funny guy. I could tell he did. He cared for me. But he had struggled with some things. And after that weekend, my mom asked me, hey, do you want to spend more time with him? And I said, sure, I'd like to get to know him and all that. So, every other weekend, a weekend a month, she would drive me down to Georgia, and I'd hang out with my dad for a weekend. So, me and him really got to know each other real well. And what was funny is during this time of her driving me back and forth to Georgia, my mom and my dad actually rekindled their relationship, and they ended up getting back together. So after that one school year in Asheville, I moved to Georgia at the beginning of the summer of '91. Summer of '91 was a magical time for any Braves fan. I wasn't even a baseball fan then, but I became a baseball fan because there was just this feeling in the air back then, this hype about the Braves. And so the kids in my neighborhood that I started hanging out with, they all collected baseball cards. I was 11. I never even collected baseball cards. So I asked my parents, hey, can y'all give me some baseball cards? And they're like, sure. They'd buy me a pack here and there, 91 Tops, 91 Fleer, whatever, 91 Donruss. Definitely in the middle of the junk wax age. And I started collecting cards. So, then I started getting an allowance for doing chores around the house. And the first time I actually spent my own money on cards, I went to Rose's, and they had packs of 1991 Fleer there. So I grabbed a pack, 91 Fleer. I think I remember they were really fat packs too. So I bought a pack of 91 Fleer at Rose's. And up until this point, I followed football even as a kid. Football is king in South Florida. I know they have the Marlins there now, but when I was growing up there was no baseball team. Florida was king. The Hurricanes and the Dolphins, they were king. And this man right here was even the king of that. This guy was like a god in South Florida, Dan Marino. And out of that very first pack of Fleer, the very first pack of cards I ever bought with my own money was this card right here, Dan Marino 1991 Fleer. And this is the only card I kind of took care of when I was younger. Put it in a top loader, in a penny sleeve. So this corner's a little soft and all that. It's off cut, and I really dislike 91 Fleer. I think it's a super ugly set. But out of that first pack was a reminder of what I had left behind in Florida. Not from a sports standpoint, but it just reminded me of, everything I'd left behind, all my family, my sisters, and all that. And I was in a totally different place, and I got the king of South Florida and Dan Marino. So this card has always meant so much to me because of my childhood. Even though I didn't get this card in Florida, this card meant Florida to me. Always has. This is one of the only cards that I still have from when I originally collected. Is this Dan Marino. I still have a few 91 Tops Braves cards that I have, and a couple 91 Donruss Braves cards. But yeah, so that's my entry into WaxPack Poetics contest. Thank you for visiting. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much and I told a somewhat coherent story. But once again, check out the link in the description and check out his contest. Also, on a side note, I'm still trying to fill my break. I got 5 slots remaining. Let me pop that up so you can see it. Here it is down here. It says 7 slots. Okay, now it says 5 slots. But yeah, still trying to fill that. We'd really like to break that next week. If I can sell a couple more slots, I'll go ahead and break it. I'll eat the last, 2 or 3 slots. That doesn't bother me. I just want to break it and have some fun on a live stream. But I appreciate it, y'all. Remember, you can only control 2 things. That's your thoughts and your actions. So stay positive. Keep ripping them packs. And I will catch you all later. Peace.